President Donald Trump facing criminal charges, but we don't know yet what the charge or charges are. The Manhattan District Attorney's investigation is related to hush money payments made to adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016 and whether President Trump falsified records to hide it. Legal analysts say that the presidential candidate will be treated like any other person facing charges.
He will be processed. He will have a mugshot. He will get a booking number. He will give fingerprints, albeit electronically rather than by ink.
President Trump is expected to surrender to authorities next week. We're hearing possibly Tuesday. In a statement, he said that he is, quote, a completely innocent person, end quote.
Our Dan Cummins joins us now with more on these payments and why a district attorney was investigating former President Trump in the first place. Dan, what can you tell us?
Tatiana, this all goes back to a payment made to Stormy Daniels in 2016, just days before Mr. Trump was elected president. His former attorney, Michael Cohen, arranged a $130,000 wire transfer to Daniels to buy her silence about an alleged affair with the former president. Cohen was then reimbursed by the Trump organization, which also rewarded him with bonuses and extra payments. On August 21st, 2018, Cohen admitted he arranged those hush money payments. That sparked an investigation by the Manhattan DA. Then a year later, in August of 2019, the prosecutor's office subpoenaed the Trump organization, requesting 8 years of the former president's personal and corporate tax returns. July of 2020, an appellate judge ruled against Mr. Trump. That decision determined his presidency did not shield him from criminal inquiries. In February of last year, the Supreme Court denied his request to block the release of those tax returns. A new prosecutor took over in 2022 and said the investigation would continue. And a grand jury was seated this past January. Just 2 weeks ago, Mr. Trump posted on social media he would be indicted and called for protests, which brings us to the indictment today. Mr. Trump denies having a sexual encounter with Daniels and also denies any wrongdoing in the case. He's also facing several other investigations, including his handling of classified documents and his role in the January 6th Capitol attack. Reporting in studio tonight, I'm Dan Cummins.
Now, because this is something that has never happened before, there are still plenty of questions out there and a lot that we don't know.
Right, so our Chase Bachman got some answers from a local analyst, and he continues our team coverage tonight. Chase?
Well, Tatiana, Jeff, I spoke with Dr. Sam Nelson, a political science professor with the University of Toledo. And while the vote to indict the former president is historic, there are still many, many unknowns.
You know, we really have to see what's actually in the indictment. There are all kinds of questions about, what are the charges? What is the legal theory of the case?
Today, a New York grand jury voted to indict the former president Donald Trump. Political science professor Dr. Sam Nelson says the move is the culmination of years of investigation.
This timing was very surprising. I don't think that he's being indicted here is a surprise after all the news of the last several weeks. But of course, it's also completely unprecedented for a former president to be indicted in a criminal case.
Nelson expects the charges to shake up Mr. Trump's 2024 presidential bid.
Basically, I think that this makes his campaign much harder. It will help him in terms of firing up his base, those most loyal to him. It will probably help him raise money for his campaign going forward. But there's no way that being under indictment is going to be a very compelling argument to somebody who voted for Joe Biden in 2020 that they should switch to Donald Trump.
And there are still questions about how criminal charges could affect the former president's ability to campaign.
Criminal defendants who are out on bail or on their own recognizance, they have restrictions on their travel often. They have restrictions on the things they can say or how they communicate.
And while it's too early to know what that might look like, Nelson says criminal charges could restrict Trump's ability to speak about the case.
He'll be read his rights, right, and his right to remain silent. This is not a guy that really exercises his right to remain silent very effectively, right? I mean, just his personality type. I think that's going to be a huge challenge for him, not to be on social media, not to be at rallies, attacking the prosecutor, attacking the judges, attacking potential jurors. These are all things that could create a lot of trouble for him.
The felony indictment is under seal and is expected to be made public in the next few days. Reporting live in East Toledo, Chase Bachman, WTOL 11.
All right, thanks, Chase. Now, WTOL actually reached out to a local GOP chair, Chris Joseph, about former President Donald Trump's New York grand jury indictment. And Joseph says he's upset. This indictment is nothing more than a political stunt because of Trump's run for office. And he believes the Republican Party will still vote for him in the GOP primary unless he's convicted.
It might actually help him get the nomination if he is acquitted. Because now there's going to be the sympathy factor and all that sort of thing.
Joseph added, if the former president is found guilty, President Joe Biden should pardon him because no president should want to see another president in jail.
The indictment of President Trump may have you wondering whether or not the former U.S. president can run for office again. Trent Croce verifies.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump is the first former or current president charged in a criminal case. And if you've been on social media, you might see people asking whether he can run for president again, or whether anyone could be elected president if charged or convicted of a crime. Let's verify. According to the U.S. Constitution in Article 2, there are 3 requirements in order for someone to run for president. 1, be a natural-born citizen. 2, be at least 35 years old. 3, have been a U.S. resident for at least 14 years. Other than that, there are no other mentions of criminal charges prohibiting someone from running. So if you meet all 3, there is nothing stopping you from running. Additionally, the Supreme Court has ruled neither the Congress or state legislators can add new requirements from what is already in the Constitution. The only way to make a change through a constitutional amendment. So the answer, yes. You can be elected president if you have been charged or convicted of a crime. And if someone is guilty and ordered to prison, they can still run, just in the cell.
That was Trent Croce reporting tonight, so we can verify tonight that former President Trump or anyone can run for president if indicted with a crime. This is a developing story that we will continue to follow. For the latest updates, be sure to download our free WTOL 11 News app and keep tuning in right here and check our website.